all the people who come here, they somehow discover this place. I don't know how they discover it, but I'm glad they do, whoever comes. So the library started out of a house in Bandra years back, and it was an online library, so you could order books online. We would have it delivered to wherever you are in Bombay, and we then would pick up the book and deliver you the next book. So that was largely the model that we started off with. And as the books grew in number, we always wanted a reading room where people could come and rather than read one book at a time, because comic books you can really go through them very fast, and people really wanted more books at a time. So we always wanted to set up a reading room. We chanced upon this place because there was a book sale happening in Versova, and it was actually, the shop was shutting, and we decided to come for the book sale and asked the landlord, what are you doing with the place post the book sale? They didn't really have an answer, so we said, why don't we take it over if you're okay with it? And yeah, so they were more than happy to kind of give us, and we've been here for the last 11 years now. And so that's how the library started. The library's always been in this basement. Food was always very supplementary at that point to that, but then as the rent started going up, and in 10 years Bombay rents, as you know, have spiraled up beyond control. So we also added the food and then the beer and the bar to kind of facilitate and keep this reading room alive. And we earlier had memberships where we would deliver, but now we've kind of stopped delivering when we keep it in-house and made it more like a reading room which people can come and visit, and more like an archive of sorts. So reading a comic book is like leaping from one panel to another, so like leaping from one window to another. That, alongside the fact that Bidisha's friend had this French son wanted to emulate Superman once and jump from the second floor of a building wearing a towel around his neck, and he's perfectly fine, nothing happened to him. But that also kind of prompted the thing of leaping out of the window just to emulate a superhero of yours. So yeah, those are the two connects, and we kind of somehow found that reading a comic is like leaping from one window to another. So I think the reading habits, I wouldn't say have changed much. People who loved comic books are still reading comic books. There are many younger people who have kind of joined the fray, who initially start off with a lot of manga. So there's and also manga, because there are manga clubs in Mumbai and various other cities, which kind of actually have a stronger community than any other kind of comic book community, let's say in Mumbai or any other Indian city. So I think a lot of the young people kind of start off with manga, but they also, I'm sure they move into anime, but they also try out other stuff. And old schoolers like me, we keep on trying various stuff, whatever. There's no a prescription of a book that you read, like it is in non-comic books scenario. There's no a kind of book that you read. So it crosses genres. I like a lot of lately, a lot of people actually have been kind of coming and trying to read stuff. Like a lot of them have got made into series. For example, Walking Dead, Preacher are quite famous. So a lot of people post kind of seeing those series, start coming and kind of reading the comic books just to see what the book was and what the series is all about. So even things like Death Note and all have got made into series. So people kind of come and want to read the book based on that. And some of these books are available online, but a lot of them aren't. So the reading houses, which like for us, which we've got books from 10 years back, some of them are out of print, some of them are tough to find. So in that way, it's a nice place for building an archive and for people to come and refer and see what the book is all about. But there is obviously a lot of stuff online. I mean, I'm not saying reading has gone down, but definitely TV has taken up a lot of the time which you would earlier spend in, there wasn't that much TV happening. So we would, as children, I mean, when we were kids, we would always read, right? That was the only form of entertainment per se. But now you can go online and you can watch videos on YouTube for hours. You don't really need TV also. So I suppose there's a lot more distraction now, and reading is not the only or one of the few, like reading music was what we were as kids, are not the only form of entertainment which will keep you occupied. Conception that it's meant for younger people, I think still holds true. A lot of people believe that, and they've not really opened up to reading stuff which is not meant for just younger people. Like a lot of the books that are there, which are created by independent comic book artists, are serious stuff and serious storylines. A lot of people identified with stuff which kids read or stuff which teenagers read, or so. But I think that's a large section of people that come to us. The demographic is from young kids to about maybe 30, till in that age group. And beyond that, there are people who've got their, like people who followed DC when they've been growing up. So they kind of, and then some of them have moved around and tried other stuff. But a lot of people have old hangovers, which they kind of keep supplementing with and DC Marvel keep fueling the fire with all the movies that they come out with. So I suppose that is also, and discovery happens through that also. When somebody comes and reads something online alongside Marvel and DC, they'll realize there's a whole world other than that. So it's good that they find other characters, and Marvel and DC kind of is a catalyst for them to kind of jump into that fora. I read a lot of stuff online as well, and and I do find a lot of time I read smaller strips much more now, rather than long format ones. In the long format ones, I mean, my favorite author is Craig Thompson. Comic book artist is Craig Thompson. I love his work as he would possibly be, and I love a lot of the series. So I mean, Fables is one of my all-time favorites. I really love Fables. So yeah, I mean, there is a whole host. I mean, there's little not to like in comic books for me. So I mean, whatever I end up reading, I usually end up liking. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of them. But these two are clear standouts for me. Yeah, I mean, we grew up with the Indrajal. That's the first thing. Then you had and we used to have these magazines called Target and stuff like that, which would have comic strips. We also had, other than Indrajal, there was quite a few other Bengali comics. I grew up in Calcutta, so Cal had a lot of rich Bengali comics going on. Then there was your Chacha Chaudharys of the world, which came, and yeah, so those are the stuff we grew up on. Then there was Tintin and Asterix, which obviously again we read. And then as we grew up further, then we started reading more and more in terms of independent stuff. DC Marvel was also coming into the fray. So yeah, so I grew up kind of reading quite a bit of Bengali comics also. See, I'm sure people have read much more online and at home. I'm sure with all the time people had. I personally was, over the pandemic, people shared archives with me online, where I went and reread stuff and kind of, because I couldn't. So I'm sure people have read online, and the ones who read will continue to read. It really hasn't changed much post the pandemic. I mean, obviously there are many more people going to physical spaces and kind of reading stuff. So yeah, I mean, earlier we had kept the basement shut for a long time because it was not well ventilated. So we didn't want to even open up even till about 4-5 months back. So once really we had a green signal and we gave our green signal, that's when we started off. But yeah, it's been nice to open up the place again. We've started having a bit of events, and like we also end up having stand-up comedies in the small space here. So yeah, people have started kind of coming back to physical spaces, physical libraries and stuff like that, to kind of, other than just visiting online and trying to kind of read online. But I think that is on the rise anyway, and that will continue to rise, and these places will become more of a differentiator rather than something which you go like on a regular basis. You might go a one-off thing just to be somewhere where you want to just chill for a bit, as opposed to if you're an avid reader reading every day, you'll most probably read online.
Hi, I'm Manaki, and I like anime and manga and cosplaying. So at the start, there used to be a channel called Animex, which used to come on television, but now they removed it. But yeah, that's where I got into anime. It was like Naruto and stuff, and then I watch it on internet now, and like the new Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen and Kaichou Maid-sama and stuff. I mean, there are like definitely a lot of good anime. You can't really tell which this is favorite or that is good, bad. But I think like Junji, it was like Fire Punch, good. Chainsaw Man, then and there are really good ones. Kaguya-sama Love is War is really good.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.